The Regents podcast. The Regents podcast. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Regents podcast. I'm Ellyn.
And I'm Aja. Welcome.
Two best friends who quit their jobs to pursue their passions.
That's what we did.
And I was just saying to Aja before we were recording, what was I saying? I need to clean.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Oh, Pilates.
Pilates. That's right.
Yes.
Workout
so I'm on a
clothes.
Pilates journey and I need to get more workout clothes because for a couple reasons. One, I need like high neck stuff because like you're moving in a lot of different ways and like the chest is it just is like there's a lot happening.
Yes.
Yeah, so I need like a high neck thing because everything I've been wearing is like my workout tops, but like with shirts over it. Because like it's one thing for me to go like walk on the beach in like a workout tank top, you know?
Yeah.
And I was doing that or like going for like walks, riding bikes, whatever. But it's another thing when I'm like
in this contraption.
Like a pretzel.
Exactly.
Literally in a contraption.
Yes.
So I need to order new workout clothes.
Okay.
Also because you start to see the same people over and over again. And I know it doesn't matter what other people think. If they're assuming what I'm wearing, I haven't washed it, I have washed it, whatever. Do you know what I mean? But like in my head,
I need
if they
a larger
see me
rotation.
in the same Fila top, you know, you don't know that I just did laundry.
Right, of course.
Between Monday and Thursday's class. You know, and that just happens to be my favorite top that I like to work out in the most.
The way it fits. Yes, yes.
So, you know, once it's clean, it's the first thing I pull.
Of course. And they're like, this poor girl.
This girl, she has no
She
clothes.
only has a Fila top.
She only has a Fila top. So, needless to say, I need to invest. Well, now that I've been going, it's been, oh my God, this just caught on my shirt. I've been going, the end of this week will be one full month.
Okay.
So, thank you. I definitely feel like stronger.
Nice.
For sure. I lifted like a half gallon of milk.
Okay.
From far away in the fridge. Like it was in the back of the fridge for some reason. I was like, what the fuck? So I had to like lift it up over everything.
Oh, yeah.
And so I lifted it up over everything without having to move any condiments or anything. I like fully raised it up from far away, maneuvered it with my wrist, which sometimes my wrists are a little wonky.
Okay.
They're like they've been weak in the past.
Okay.
Because I had, I fell snowboarding like years ago. And ever since then, my wrists have always been a little bit like off.
Okay. I'm familiar with this. Brandon had to have surgery on his wrist though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know, it's like sometimes it's like my wrists like crack different. Like I'm fine. Like I don't have, it's not like I'm plagued by pain. It's just like sometimes they really hurt. Sometimes they're really weak. So the fact that I could fully lift a full half gallon of milk, like oddly with my wrist, maneuver it,
I love
pull
that
it out.
This is the test.
Yeah, because I was thinking about it. I was like, in the past, I don't think I would have been able to do that. I think I would have needed
to move something
like
around,
two hands or move stuff around. Exactly. Or have more leverage.
Yeah.
Or like I took like to get up to my apartment from where the water is here, there's like a couple of flights of stairs over the course of like a little bit. It's not just like straight up. And usually by the time I get to my apartment, I'm like,
right.
Like that. And I got up to my apartment this morning after I walked off and I was just like,
Look at that. I love it.
So I was like, okay, I'm feeling like good.
Yeah.
I'm feeling
you
like
can tell the
I can even tell like I can even tell like some of the moves you do in the class are like a little bit easier.
Yes.
Not easy.
Don't
but I'm not like getting a Charlie horse from the activity or something. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah, I feel like this is a good decision. And now that I've been doing it for almost a month, I feel like very committed and that I can reward myself with some new workout clothes.
Absolutely. That's a great way to keep yourself like excited and all that type of stuff. So
yes, I'm excited for some new workout clothes. I'm gonna get some couple new pairs of shorts, couple of new tops. My friend Lynn, she told me that she gets a lot of good stuff from Old Navy that she really
Ah,
likes.
okay. I
So I'm going to
always
check
forget
out.
about Old Navy.
Oh,
I don't know. It was never like a part of my whatever.
when I was a kid, it was a big part of my like
Yeah.
repertoire because it was very size
Uh-huh.
inclusive, like even from an early
Yeah.
days, in the 90s. And so I think because of that, I always just like then like didn't want to shop
Mm-hmm.
there. I was just like, I don't like it. Like, and it's not stylish. It's like lame,
Yeah, yeah.
whatever. And then now that I've gotten older, I'm just like size inclusive, stylish, and affordable. Sign me up.
Right down my alley.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So I know it's funny though, because you do kind of like forget about Old Navy.
Yeah, and I like even when I was younger, it just was never. I don't know if we had one. I guess it was kind of near, but it just wasn't the place.
Yeah.
And we went to we did a cabin trip a couple years ago, and I was
Hmm.
like, I needed some like cabin type gear. And I thought of Old Navy. I was like, I want like a flannel, like a flannel shirt, the whole thing.
Yes.
And I went and
Yes.
had like a little mini spree in Old Navy with like the vests and the flannel shirts, and it was
Cute.
really cool. And I was like, okay, Old Navy, shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I honestly haven't been in one in so long, so I'm gonna order some stuff and do a
Yeah.
try on it. Do you hear the
I
screeching?
do. I've been hearing it
I'm shutting the
all.
door.
Wait,
Really?
is that not Olive?
That's the baby next
Oh.
door.
Wait, wait,
Bro.
wait. What is he or
Okay,
she
everyone.
doing?
Okay. Okay. Here
And
we
we're
go.
going to get
Rolling up
into
the
it right
sleeves.
now.
Okay. All right. If you've been following along on my
Oof.
social media at Ellen with a Y, you may or may not have seen I have posted a couple times about this screaming child.
Mm. Rosemary's baby.
Newborn, entered this blessed world January 2024.
Okay.
That's when my life changed because I have like a whole narrative in my head about what's going
I'm
on
sure
next
you
door.
do.
But essentially, and I'm going to speak quietly because
The walls are
they're
thin.
right there.
Okay.
Like they're literally right across the balcony from me.
Okay. All right.
Like, should I take everyone on a trip? No, I won't disturb my setup.
Right.
But essentially, had the baby in January,
Mm-hmm.
and they live in a one person,
Oh, okay.
and the baby
All right.
live in a studio like mine.
Okay.
And the idea is give the baby fresh air, I guess, when it's crying, which means you step out onto the balcony in a closed
For
courtyard,
everybody else to hear.
which is echoey,
Yeah.
and it's just screaming,
Oh,
screaming.
gosh.
And it's that infant, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So when that first happened,
Uh-huh.
I was like, you got to give a lot of grace to the parent.
She's
This is a huge
trying.
change, big shift. She's trying the best she can.
Yeah.
She's clearly on her own.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh.
yeah, there's nobody with her.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just home all day, every day
Wow.
with the baby. Always. Always home all day,
Never
every
leaves.
day. Never leaves.
Mm.
Unless she's got the kind of job that I have. I don't know what's happening over
Yeah.
there.
Maybe she does. Maybe she works from home.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can work from home with a screaming baby like that. I can barely work from home with a screaming baby like that. So it just became this like regular recurring thing of just like this baby's crying all hours of the day, all
Oh.
hours of the night. We're waking up. It's the first thing we hear. Now, July, August, it's like, 6, 7 months later.
Yeah.
The baby is like continuing to cry consistently, but like now it's becoming like a talking crying.
Oh, okay.
So like if it wants something, if it's like it's angry, it's frustrated, like all this different
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So it's just become this like recurring reminder to not get pregnant and take your birth control if you're taking birth control, and a reminder of like how full on having an infant is, and like God bless anyone who would choose
God bless the parents
to do that without a partner.
Mm-hmm. Or doesn't have a
not built
choice
that way. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like if it's a choice and you choose to do it without a partner, Oh, I don't know what you're
Wow.
doing,
Yeah.
but God bless you. If you are in a situation where it wasn't your choice and you're doing it on your own, like I,
Oof.
I think everybody should be lending a hand in the community to help you.
Well, Ellen, what
Like
are you doing?
truly. I'm not helping at all.
But everyone else in
Well,
the
because
community.
well, so this is why I have a little bit of an edge to me about this.
Okay.
There is a man.
There is a man.
There is a man that she talks to on the phone occasionally, and it always sounds like it's like a yell talk.
Oh. A yell talk.
And he sometimes comes over.
I can't.
Like he came over and baby proofed their balcony.
Okay. So he put like a shield or something instead of the rails.
Shield around the edges and put down turf and like soft turf.
Okay.
And then put up like a little play section and tent for the baby.
Okay.
So she can go out there and be out there.
And let the baby scream at everybody else. Okay.
Yeah. And now that's what she does. Is that's her style of communicating. The mom has been doing this like echo of like, ha, 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 for the last 6 months at the baby.
Oh.
So now the baby's way of communicating is that. It's just these long exhale expressions of sound.
Oh, gosh.
And it's become this, yes, because she has been cooing at the baby.
She's been training the baby.
She doesn't talk to the baby. She coos and sounds at the baby. And that's why this is what we're getting back. We're not
weird.
getting
trying to
like
say words.
Sound words. We're not getting any kind of like
ma, da, vowels,
nothing.
consonants.
It's 7 months. I understand
Of
it's
course.
still so extremely early.
Yeah.
But like it's like
you heard, I thought that.
That's what I'm getting. Why do you think Olive barks?
I thought it was Olive because people, before we started recording, Olive was having the time of her life with all her squeaky toys. Okay. So right before you closed the door, I was like, oh, that's not Olive. I thought it was her loud, Oh, no. And no one else, there's no complaints or anything like that, a petition.
Well, it's like, this is the thing. It's like, don't you feel bad that this parent's by themselves?
Of course you do,
but then to a certain extent, it's like, well, that's inconsiderate.
That's what I'm saying. Don't you also, sometimes you should be in your own home when your baby is crying because.
I also feel as though a baby in a studio apartment is not the most appropriate layout. Because I can see into them because they're on the second floor and I'm on the third floor. I can see in and I can see that the baby sleeps in the bed with her with like a protective on one side.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you don't even have the space to like provide the baby with its own sleeping arrangement.
Well, I mean, listen, we don't know the girl's situation. She's probably doing the best that she can with her studio apartment, and people have done more with less. So,
but my thing is that there are more affordable studio apartments
in this,
like literally a quarter mile inland. There are 1-bedroom apartments, nice 1-bedroom apartments, quarter mile, half mile inland that you can get for half the price of the studio here. I live on the beach.
Yeah.
Don't come find me. Don't come stalk me.
A lot of beaches.
But this is what I'm saying is like, we're paying for location.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like where I live is like, people are like, oh, you live there. And I'm like, oh, don't get it twisted. Like I live in a studio. Like I'm not living like some she life over here. Like there are literal like basketball players that live like down the block from me because the people live where there's boats. They live where there's water act. Like I get it. And I know what I'm paying for. I just feel as though, and this, controversial or not, I just feel as though I'm just like, I don't think you're doing yourself or the baby a service by creating such a small living environment.
Yeah.
For what? To be at the beach? Like what's the...
Right.
At some point that like you need to... So again...
From what you can tell.
Across the balcony from her, second floor below me, was a couple in a studio who I think got pregnant and they had a baby. And within the first month of being born, I had 2 crying babies and I was like literally going to like lose my mind.
Yeah.
They moved. They moved.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but like, it's a studio apartment is like a really rough setup And I know how much a studio apartment is here, and I know how much a 1-bedroom is literally
Yeah.
a half mile inland. And it's like, it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Unless someone is like paying the bill here. So that's where I start to like,
I was just
come
going to
up with
say,
a
there's so many
story.
things that could be going on here.
Well, in my mind, I think, okay, this is like a soap opera.
Yes.
I think this is like a he's footing the bill.
Mm-hmm.
And he may have his own life and family and situation. And that's why she's always like rough yelling on the phone.
Yeah.
Like
right.
kind of like, you need to take care.
This is your child.
Yeah, this is your child. This is our responsibility.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you got me pregnant kind of vibes. That's what I think's happening. Based on the context clues I have. Just from
across the courtyard. That's
yeah. No, when I say guys, when I say across the courtyard, we're talking. She is less than 10 feet across from me.
Oh, y'all were like looking at each other.
Bro, no, this is what I'm saying. So my courtyard, it's a square, but off the corners are like little tiny offshoots. So where I am, okay, everyone needs to see this now.
See, this is the part.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So the situation I'm talking about is right below this one.
Gotcha.
So it's
yeah.
here. So you see how close
that
is?
Yeah.
Now imagine if I lived in the apartment next to mine. They stare into each other's
right,
apartments.
exactly.
She always keeps her shades closed because she doesn't want to see him. I literally, I always thought so. I thought someone never lived there.
Right.
I saw her on the balcony yesterday.
Oof.
And she was like, "Hi, I was like, "Hi, I'm Ellyn."
Wow.
I've been here for 2 years and she's been here the whole time.
Wow. And you're just now meeting her.
Met.
Wow.
Because she's never on the balcony because across from her, not even like catty corner.
Yeah, it's like straight up.
These aren't even offset. It is straight up.
I'm sitting on my
in hers.
Yeah.
Awkward.
Very awkward. Very strange.
At least I'm lucky. Across, like I see hers and she can see me, but directly across from me is
nothing.
a wall.
Yeah. That's helpful.
But you see how close it all is. So it's like
small quarters for me to hear your child.
No, it's like it's too close. Yeah. So, I don't know. I actually have really grappled with like my own frustration with the situation because I feel bad and I understand the plight of new parents and I understand that it's difficult and I understand there's a lot of just new and change and you're tired and it's like, how do you function? Like I understand that and I have such respect and also I think empathy for the situation. Yeah. But at what point am I like devaluing my own
experience and
time, experience, existence here?
Right.
At the benefit of
what you're going through. Yeah.
And that's something I think about, and like this may be controversial, but that's something I think about when it comes to people that have kids or have children, and just this one where they like complain about having kids all the time. Or they will be like, expecting the rest of society to like bear burden of certain situations because they have children. Yeah. Like you're at a restaurant, this kid is screaming, crying, and I'm trying to have a nice time at the restaurant.
Right.
Yeah. You're there also trying to have a nice time. But if your child is screaming, crying, like it is your responsibility to take care of the situation, whether that's taking the kid outside, giving them a new toy.
Something. Keep them calm.
Something, exactly. And like, that's where I feel as though people who don't have children or who don't have children in the situation of the moment that's happening, like at a restaurant, I could have kids at home, you don't know. But it's like, I feel like we're all expected to just like swallow it and just be like, yeah, for sure. Like that's totally normal to have your kids screaming, crying and throwing spaghetti at a restaurant.
Right.
Like, and I'm just like, I don't know, like, where's the like, and I'm such like, I do love kids. Yeah. Like I'm so maternal. I love kids. I'm like, it's almost similar to how I am with dogs where I'm like, your kids are okay over there. I like the kids I know. Yeah. I like the kids I like,
Right.
But like, yeah, I don't know. I do think it's an interesting thing, especially as a woman who's like, in my mid 30s, I'm getting to a place where it's like, do I want kids? Do I not want kids? I'm more so leaning towards no, but then sometimes I'm like, well, I love kids. And it's like, I would, if I care as much as I care, I would do things in a different way. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so then I don't know, it just becomes this thing where it's like, I don't really love hearing parents complain about being parents because it's a choice. Unless it wasn't a choice, it was a choice.
It was a choice. Yeah.
You know, unless it was a situation, you know what I mean? Unless it was a situation that like you just found yourself in, you know, especially like the whole thing about like being a single parent, like if that just became your situation, like that's, I have such empathy. But it's the situations where like you can tell that these parents just want to like plug their ears and just be like, you made this choice.
Right.
You have to set up your life in a way where you can sustain being the parent.
Yeah, that's the responsibility.
You know?
That's what parenting
It is. It's
takes.
your responsibility. Like, I understand it takes a community, but like, I'm not in your community.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not in your village.
I'm not the village. I might be local.
Yeah, I'm not your village. My village is over here. Yeah. I'm local, but I'm not your village.
I'm not your village.
Yeah, I don't reside in your village. We live in a village, but I'm not. Yeah, exactly. I know. I don't know. There's just like a lot of, you know, I have this stand-up bit that I have where basically like the whole gist of it is like, I think like you're constantly complaining about having to wake up early. You have no time for yourself. When was the last time I showered? When was the last time I ate what I wanted to eat?
Yeah.
All this stuff, right? Which my whole philosophy, and I think I get this from my parents of like about parenting, which I'm not even a child. I don't even have kids, but I have a dog and she's great. To be honest.
And she's great.
She's great. Literally someone today asked me like, how is she so perfect? Does she do anything wrong? And I was like, oh, trust me, she does. But you know what I mean? But so anyway, my philosophy is like, the kids go with you. They go where you go. They eat what you eat. They do it. Like you are the one who sets the tone. If your child is dictating how the family's operating, you are not in a good way.
You know what?
You need to call what was that nanny show? Do you remember the nanny that would like come in and like fix the family, the British nanny?
I don't know.
Super nanny. You need to phone a friend. Help. You're behind the 8 ball on that one.
Absolutely. I was just watching this video on TikTok and this woman, she's talking about like, you know, what she eats in a day and she doesn't cut out any food groups, whatever. And all her stuff looks great. Right. And so someone commented, they were like, you know, I totally love your videos or whatever, but I come into the issue where like my kids don't want to eat what I want to eat. So then I just give up everything and I'm just like, all right, fine. We'll all have pizza. Right. I loved her response because she was like, well,
what'd she say?
She was like, well, what works for me and my husband is that, you know, like he and I will basically eat the same thing. She was like, I'll make modifications. Like if they need a little bit more vegetables or whatever, like whatever. She was like, but really, I'm not a short order cook. So they're going to eat what. And she was like, if you keep doing it, like they probably won't eat it today, but they'll come around. I was like, listen. She said she's not she's not making a meal for her, a meal for her husband, a meal for Sally, and a meal for Jane. Nuh-uh. We're not doing it. Y'all are going to eat this. This is good for you. I know some things like, okay, if you don't like a Brussels sprout, whatever. I don't know. But like realize that kids will have likes and dislikes. No problem. Yeah. But
if they like broccoli and I'm making Brussels sprouts, okay, cool. We'll make both and you can have the broccoli. Exactly. But we're not making chicken nuggets and mac and cheese for dinner.
And then I get chicken thighs and potato. Like, you know, no. We're not doing all that.
It's like, I don't understand. Like, I get it. It's difficult. It's a grind.
Yeah.
At some point, you just want to throw in some chicken nuggets and be like, fuck it. Like, truly, I get it. Like, I can understand that mentality because there's times when I'm with Olive where like, when I was training her, when I first got her,
yeah.
But it's true. Like I had to potty train her. I had to sleep train her. I had to show her how to eat, like not to do this, not to do that. Like you have to be on top of it to be able to correct behavior, to be able to guide in the right direction. And there isn't like a day off. And I get that. And I understand that there is like a moment where you really are just like, eat the grilled cheese, eat the mac and cheese, eat the chicken nuggets. I don't fucking care. Like I can't do this.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, as a parent, you actually don't get to do that. You cannot do that. If you're getting to the point where you're just like, I don't fucking care, like eat what you want to eat, that's when you call the village.
Yeah.
That's when you have to call somebody and you have to say, I need time.
Yeah.
I have to prioritize me, because if I'm not good, I'm going to keep doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And if I keep doing that, that's when you have kids that are like off the rails. They don't know how to eat. They don't know how to take care of themselves, because you haven't given them the responsibility of, you're going to sit at the table and you're going to eat what we eat. And if you
Right.
don't eat, then you don't eat.
Yeah.
And you know what? A human body will
They
eat when
will
it's hungry.
eat. Exactly.
Guarantee you. And is
Guarantee.
that horrible? No.
But I
That's
also
literally evolution. That's evolution.
these are the basics
Like
of life.
the kid's gonna eat. If the kid's hungry, the kid will eat. If all they eat off that plate is the protein, tomorrow morning's breakfast, I bet it's gonna go down a lot easier.
Not us having a parenting episode. Neither one of us with kids, but
that's what I think is so.
There are just things that we can see as people who live vicariously through others around us who have children, and it's, you know, certain things I do look at, because obviously we were parented. Okay, we're aunties and you surrogate aunties to friends who have babies and stuff like that. So it's also a matter of, I would think, in my mind, take my opinion, whatever, with a grain of salt, because I do not currently have children. However, I can imagine, and my husband and I talk about, like, okay, one day, should we be blessed with children or whatever, this is what we would like to do, or this is the precedent we want to set.
Yeah.
I'm not going to cater every single thing because you want to throw a tantrum or whatever, because I had to be disciplined. I had to learn when, okay, no, we sit at the table and eat. This is what we do. If you don't like a thing, you don't throw it across the floor. You tell mommy or daddy you don't like it. You know, like, there are just certain things where you have to, 100%. You can't let the child run the freaking house. Like,
no, you can't. But this is what I'm saying is, like, I just don't, like, if people who don't have kids or are deciding to have kids, or are in a place where, like, maybe yes, maybe no, down the line, yes, whatever. If we don't have these conversations and talk about it, then you find yourself in a situation where you're like, oh,
and now you feel stuck or whatever.
I didn't figure out how I felt about the thing before the thing happened. And now I'm figuring it out as I go.
Right.
And that
is dangerous.
I think is where things go wrong.
Exactly. Because people don't think, and listen,
they don't do the homework. They don't do the work leading up to it.
You do the thing, or you want to have sex or whatever it is, and then the kid comes and it's just like, okay, but there's so much to think about. And there, you know, and us at our age, we've had a lot to think about, we've had a lot to see.
Yep.
And we've had a lot to witness. So it's just like, oh, I've thought about a lot of different situations about, you know, having kids and what that means, what that really entails for a life lived, especially after you've lived a good part of your adult life without kids. You know, there's just so much to consider. And a part of that too is being considerate of when you are out places. And like, another perfect example, I was at the airport recently. So there was this woman, she had her 2 kids. And, you know, she's trying to take them to the window, show them the planes, like occupy them. Like, oh, guys, look at the plane. Cute. All right, fine. But then the kids get out of hand. Okay. And I was like, first of all, where is the children's area in this airport? Because I want them to go there. That was one. But then the kid, like, I don't have kids, but these other parents are kind of like gravitating towards each other. So now it's like the mom gang or whatever.
Oh, gosh.
And she lets her son go all willy-nilly to the point where he knocks down this other little girl. She's probably like maybe 1. Her son's probably like 3 or something. He's playing so rough. He kicked his sister in the chest with both feet while he was sitting on the chair. And she's over there like talking to another mom. And I'm like, ma'am, these children are running rampant around gate 2. And you are nowhere to be found. And now he knocks the little girl down because he's running everywhere. Like, with no guidance at all. She's like literally just lost in the world, found somebody who else has a child. And the mom was like, oh, no, she's fine. And I was like, if that were me, hell no, my child's not fine. Because I don't know you. And your kid just knocked my kid down. And he's literally 3 times her age at this point because she's 1 and he's 3. So,
yeah.
You know, I don't know.
I mean, that type of stuff is wild. Like,
it doesn't make sense.
I just think, well, you know what it is? I also feel like the whole time we're like, oh, you know, well, we don't have kids. We don't, you know, It's like society has conditioned us to be like, you can't speak on the topic because you don't have a kid. I live in a world where there are kids.
Children.
I live in a world where there are children. I've lived in a world where I have nieces and nephews. I live in a world where I had little cousins when I was a teenager and I was responsible for them. I am a whole person and I'm allowed to have thoughts and feelings and opinions. And I feel like we have been so conditioned as a society to be like, you cannot comment if you don't have children. It's like, actually.
But wait.
Actually.
Wow.
Because this is the thing,
that's a very valid point. Yeah.
Like, look at us. Like, either halfway through this conversation, we both have multiple times been like, well, we don't have kids. We can't really stick it. Actually, we can. Oh, what would you do in this situation?
And I think what the difference is.
That's the thing. I don't have a child of my own. I'm not 24/7, 365 having a child, right? I get that.
I understand. I can't empathize with you 100% on that. However, what I can.
I'm a full person and I have seen and witnessed things like I can't even
we're
tell
part
you
of villages. We are currently a part of villages for other people
helping raise children.
Absolutely.
And I have seen things where I'm like, oh my God, when I worked at Lego, I would be at the events, the Kids Fest. There would be a big yellow tent that I sat at where I would do announcements of like, oh, we're closing in 5 minutes, or like, oh, this workshop is starting over here. But also we identified it for all the kids before the sessions would open. When they were in the queue, we'd say, attention, everyone, like at Lego Kids Fest. If you ever are separated from your parent or your child, come to the big yellow tent, the info tent, whatever. Because that would happen, kids would run away, parents would walk away, and a tent, like people working the event would see a kid by themselves like for 5 minutes and they'd be like, oh, okay, you need to come with me. Over. Everyone was very clearly instructed what to do because this was a children's event. Of course. I had every single session I worked at this place. We had many, many events around the country. Every single session, morning, afternoon session, every day of every single time there was a kid that was lost. Of course. And if I identify that there's a kid lost, they come to me. I go on the walkie-talkie. There's a special code word. Okay. The doors are like no one can exit. Everything kind of quietly, privately. Nobody knows what's happening. There's just no more exiting.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, okay, sorry. Hold on a second. You're going to have to wait. Like that. And I sit there with the kid and I try to get any kind of identifying information out of them. I mean, literally, Aja, like one was like maybe 2. Oh. That's the youngest. Yeah. And it's like, what do they know? They don't know any, like, how can they say?
Right.
And it's so funny because I was just FaceTiming with my mom in Lincoln and my mom was like teaching him they're teaching him his address.
Okay.
Like, where do you live? And he can like say it out loud.
Yeah.
Or like, what are your parents' names? And then they can say it out loud. Because these are things actually that'd be very
helpful
beneficial
to know.
Instead of
exactly
what I had to do, which was like,
what's
your mom's name? Yeah. What's your dad's name? Like, oh, do you have a brother? Do you have a sister? Do you have a dog? Do you have a cat? What school? Like, I was literally like, what's grandma's name? Da da da. To the point where this one kid, all I got out of them was like the dog's name and like the name of the school or something that they go to. And it was like St. Regis Scruffy.
Yeah. Okay.
So I announce over the speaker because you can't say that you have a missing child. You can't announce that.
Right.
So you have to say like, oh, Aja Moye, please come to the yellow tent. If you tell me that your parent is that's the name, that's what I do.
Okay.
But if I can't get anything out of the kid, I'm like, give me some. What's your name? Do you have a name? Like literally,
they don't even know.
Because sometimes they like clam up. So I'm very like, we're playing, we're coloring. I'm just trying to get information. Whatever. Yeah. I'm like, attention Lego Kids Fest. Can Scruffy St. Regis please come to the front tent? Can Scruffy St. Regis, like you say whatever you can.
Yeah.
Well, this one time I have this kid, probably like 7-year-old boy. And he was really calm and we were coloring and we were just waiting. And I said, oh, attention Lego Kids Fest, blah, blah, blah. Come to the front desk, whatever. The mom came up in hysterics and was like, how could you do this to me? You left me. You got lost. I was so scared. All about her. All about her reaction to the situation. All about the trauma that this child caused her in that moment.
Yeah.
Not, you did a good, and then I've seen other people do. You did such a good job. You came exactly where you were supposed to go, to the yellow tent. I'm really glad that we made that plan at the beginning.
Yeah.
And you did such a good job going where you needed to go and telling them mommy and daddy's name. And containing their own parental worry and scared, whatever, and using that as a moment to like reinforce that you did a good job. You might have been, were you scared? How are you feeling? Da da da. Like, are you okay? Are you okay? Did you come here pretty good? Whatever. And in that moment, I'm like 22, 23 watching this unfold. Yeah. And I just was like, that is a moment that this kid is literally being traumatized.
Exactly. It could have just went from being a blip and, you know, that he may or may not even remember 10 years from now to being like mass hysteria, to a traumatic event. Yeah.
Could be the beginning.
I was lost. I could have been kidnapped and
anxiety. Right. It's the beginning. It's the beginning of perhaps if I'm now, 20 years down the road sitting with my therapist being like, well, this one time when I was 7 and my mom lost me at this event and then she screamed at me because she lost me. And it was just so like clear to me that it is so your responsibility as a parent to show up every day the right way. Because everything you do, if you look at it as like everything you do is modeling behavior or leaving an impression or creating the script for who this person becomes
and how they live their life.
You know? And I just saw that and I was just like,
yikes.
That is, yeah. And then there was a handful of other things. Like this woman I worked with there, she was very vocal about like complaining about her husband and complaining about having to go to like little kids' parties and little kids' soccer games and everything. And I was just like, then don't be a parent.
I don't know what else to tell you.
Then don't marry a guy who doesn't have a good job if you're going to be pissed that he's not making more money. Like, if he doesn't have drive, it's pretty clear if someone doesn't have drive. Like, it's just, there were so many things that I like witnessed at such like an early age in my 20s, like outside of my village, outside of what I had seen. Because I had seen people like really happy to be parents, really happy to be moms. People do things differently. But the people I had grown up around and my cousins and my aunts and uncles and my, people were happy to have their children.
Exactly. Right.
And it's like, it's hard and it's difficult and you get rough days and everything. And it's like, but then there's other things where I'm like, wow, like I didn't think I'd ever witness like an event that clearly is going to leave a mark on.
Yeah, no, like seriously. And I think that's so important. It's good that because I come from a place where, you have bad days and all that type of stuff. But in my immediate circle where I grew up, everyone was happy. Whether or not it was a planned event, they were happy to be parents and then happy to take care of their children, And then you get in the world and you realize and see that a lot of people, they're either not wanting to be a parent, but see themselves in a situation where they have to parent because they have, I guess, a good morals underlying. But also situations where maybe they weren't parented. Maybe they weren't parented at all. Maybe they were parented badly. And so now they're trying to, and God bless them. I would think you should know right from wrong. Like I'll never forget. I was so hurt. I was in a, what do you call those things where you like pull off the side of the road? The rest stop. Yes. In the rest stop. And there was this little girl. She was not 4. Okay. I mean, when I tell you her mom cursed her out like she was a grown man, I was like, oh my gosh, beside myself, like hurting for this little girl for basic stuff that she didn't like really understand. Like she's touching things and whatever. And so like, don't touch that or whatever. But she's like cursing her out as if, it was just insane. And so you look at situations like that and it's just like so many things in the world that that are just
it's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking. And you would pray that people think a situation through before making the choices that lead to children and all that type of stuff, because it's not just, this is a lifelong commitment, and you're right. It's a really great observation that you made about society telling us that we can't comment. And it's like, well, I'm old enough to have lived and seen a lot of situations, and I am a part of villages where I'm helping to raise kids or, not not in this crazy way, but like I'm an aunt and I'm an aunt to my friends' children and stuff like that. And I hear their conversations and their moms vent to me and, you know, stuff like that. So I do have enough of experience to be able to, you know, ascertain my own opinion and come up with like things that I would do when I should become a mom or something like that, you know? And so that's really, I think that's really poignant to say, like, no, I can have an opinion. You obviously parent how you want, but I know what I would want.
Exactly. And, you know, because that's really like, if I were looking at it, it's like, wow, actually, we really have been so conditioned to be like, you don't get to have a say. But it's like, there's a lot of other stuff in society that like I don't participate in, but I have a say that I like believe it should happen or shouldn't happen.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or like, you know, there's so many things in our culture that like we like vote for people based on that doesn't affect me directly, but they believe that this should be a thing. I believe that this should be a thing.
So I want to vote
I'm
for
going to
you.
support.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm going to vote for you. You know what I mean? So there's just like, it's just a very interesting thing when you kind of notice you're like, wait a second, like I'm self-policing because why? For who?
Exactly. And
who told me that I have to self-police?
And the other thing too, as you mentioned before, if we make the decision that we want to become moms one day, then we should have opinions today about what we're gonna allow, tolerate, discipline
1,000%.
for, whatever. I shouldn't be like, oh well, I guess I'll just find out when I become a mom. Like, yeah, you'll find certain things out from actual experience, but I should also like research and ponder upon certain things and look for guidance beforehand. Like, why do I
and talk about things? You know what I mean? It's just like, you know, it's like,
it doesn't
okay,
all
well,
have to be trial
like,
by fire. Like,
no. And I think that's the thing also, is I do think that there is this also like almost like a third bucket of people having kids because society tells you like you grow up, you get married, you buy a house, you have a car, you have kids.
Yeah.
And I think that there's so much more conversation now about like, you don't necessarily have to do all of that.
Yeah.
You don't have to go in that order. You don't have to do those things. You don't have to do all of those things. There's like all these boxes that people want us to tick off of like, great, like graduated college, find a partner, you know, find a job, be successful in your career, find a partner, get married, have a house, have a car, like have a child, set it and forget it for 30 years.
Right.
And then come up and retire and take the money out that you've been putting away. Hopefully you get Social Security.
Right.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm just like,
no, right. There's been like this,
you know, it's just like
narrative for everybody. That's
there's like, this is what you're supposed to do. And it's like, I think that there are then a lot of people who find themselves in a situation of like, I was on the hamster wheel and I'm looking up and I've got 2 kids and a husband. And I'm like, I don't know that this is really what I wanted for myself, but maybe I didn't do any introspection.
Right.
I did this all very early in life.
I'm just following what people thought I should do or told me to do.
This is what I was told I'm supposed to do. And now here I am. And now there are serious repercussions if I want to change the path that I'm on, as opposed to, hey, maybe I'm not going to do anything till later in life, but at least by the time I get there, I will have had the time to think about truly what it is I really want to be doing, you know, and like how I want to move through this life. You know, I think the thing back to the whole like stand up of it all is that there was this TikTok I saw of this guy being like, yeah, my friends, we were hanging out and they've got kids and they were saying like, you know, describe your perfect day. And they were like, oh, it'd be like sleeping in and then maybe going to get brunch or going to the farmer's market. And then like maybe going to see a movie, maybe take a nap and then, you know, come home and like relax on the couch, watch a show, or like maybe go to the park, like maybe go here, like all this different stuff. The guy was like, that's my every weekend. And he was like, they were like, oh, we haven't done that in months. Like, because they have kids.
Okay. Wow.
And first of all, my like response, my like two-folded response back is just like, I sometimes think that people who have children are like maybe miserable and want everybody else to be miserable too.
Yeah. That's so funny.
And want like, oh, you should have kids too for sure. And I'm like, all I hear is you complaining about your husband, about your children, about your responsibilities. You're not, parents need to get like a new PR company because they're not doing a good job.
They're not selling it
The
at
PR
all.
on parenting is not good right now.
Listen, this is so funny because I just had a conversation. Okay, it's hot. And my friend was telling me that he's like, oh yeah, the kids go back to school in a couple days. It's great. He was like, I'm doing a countdown for them. Like, hey guys, we only got 2 more nights. Like, whatever. And I was like, wow. He was like, yeah, they're gonna go to school for the first day. I'm more excited than them. Maybe I'll have a drink. Like, I was like, wow, okay. And I was like, so why do you want me to join you if you're so whatever? He's like, because
Like,
misery
truly.
loves company. And he was like joking-ish, but like there was some truth in it because he's tired, right? And I get it. But I was just like, you see what I'm saying? What? That's a lot.
No. It's like, I think there's like a vocal majority of people who are just like complaining about parenthood.
Yeah.
And I saw an interesting interview with, I forget, Alana Glazer, who was, she did a movie about having a baby, but she's from Broad City. And she was basically like, I get a lot of joy from raising my children. I get a lot of joy from being around my children. She's like, I don't think that I think because we wanted to be able to complain and be vocal about like, maybe I'm unhappy, maybe something's wrong. We wanted society to be able to speak up, but we've almost gone in a direction where it's like, you can't say that you like your kids, and it's like, again, I'm very fortunate for all the flaws of everything of like how we're all raised, different time, things were, whatever my own issues are in life. I am very fortunate to know that I was like wanted.
Yeah, same.
That like my mom cried at the end of summer vacation because we had to go back to school.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm sure it was difficult for her to figure out what's our care, like what was the care. My parents worked.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
How are we being taken care of, or what summer program can we be in? Or like, I remember we did a summer program in Teaneck that like schools, you'd go to like the summer program was like, it wasn't summer camp. Because my mom was very big on like, there will be an educational element to this. Okay. Like you're going to do like a gymnast. Yeah. Like that's gymnastics. And then there's a science class, and then you can do the theater class afterwards.
Yeah.
Or like there's a math class and an English class, and then you can do the gymnast. Like it was like that. I'll never forget. We had just gotten to an age where it was like appropriate for us to walk home alone, but it was also the 90s.
Okay.
And my sister and I would walk home from Teaneck to Richfield Park, and we'd stop at the Dairy Queen and get like 25 cent. This is back in the day, 25 cent kitty cups of ice cream sometimes. And we'd walk home, whatever. But my mom was like, she was just like, wanted to make sure we were like in programs and
doing things. Yeah.
Doing things, taken care of, she still worked. And like, I just remember her just being like she would be sad. Like we would all be very sad at the end of summer, but she would be as well.
Right.
Like she always they always made us feel like we like were like,
it was a joy for it to be around.
Yeah, it was a joy. Like my mom, like she always talked about, she's like, I always I wanted to have kids. Like I wanted to be able to like take care of you. Like I look at my Aunt Grace with how she is with her kids and like how she was with them growing up. And it's like, you can tell when there's like joy in parenting
and a desire
and like
to parent
and a desire to be there, no matter how difficult it is, no matter how much like it's thrown at you. And like everybody gets dealt a very different set of cards. And some cards are like way more cumbersome to process and deal with than others.
Yeah.
But like, I think at the end of the day, your kids need to feel wanted and need to feel like me being and existing and being a
is
part
not a burden
to
you.
Is not a burden to you.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm like pitching a fit and I'm having a tantrum and I'm getting yelled at or whatever, but it's not like I regret you feeling.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Or like I, as the parent, want to just put my hands over my head and like and hide and close my eyes. Like I think, again, as the parent, it's your responsibility. If you feel that, step into another room.
Yeah, right.
Like,
exactly.
Take 5.
And that's the whole point you said too. That's when you activate your village. You need some time to reset and regroup. And I think that should be normalized too, because I feel like it's easy for any of us to get into a routine, or even us as entrepreneurs with budding businesses, it's like we get into a routine of things, but we also have to take a step back because it becomes so consuming and it's like all that you do and you're the person who controls all of it. You make it stop or you make it go.
Yeah.
So, but you have to take that minute to like reset, rest. That there's a reason why it's a commandment. Hello. So that you don't get burnt out because otherwise that's no good. You can't pour from an empty cup. What is that doing for anybody? No. So, you know, as a parent, make time. Make time. Yes, I'm telling you what to do. Make time to like step away from if you find that, you know, you're spending too much time doing this or it just seems like every day all I do is I work, I come home, I cook, I clean, I put the kids to bed and now I'm burnt out. Like then take a day. Take a day for you where you have somebody else watch the kids or whatever and you get to feeling like yourself again. And that's important for people to do. And I think people are tired and burned out because maybe they're not doing that. And so all they have to say is complaints.
Well, it also has to do with who's your partner. Who is your partner in this? Because I think, I mean, even just like reflecting on the conversation we've spoken, again, as women, we're speaking a lot about the mom in the situation, but the husband, the partner, the other person in the room, if there is one, like they have an equal responsibility.
Absolutely, yeah.
When my sister, I forget who said, I forget when this came up, but it was before they had kids. And she said that somebody said, oh yeah, my husband needs to babysit the kids. And she was like,
what?
Babysit?
These are his kids.
Babysit? These are his kids. If you do not feel comfortable, that was always something I was like, I cannot fathom.
That's a no.
If
that's
you
a hard
do not
no.
feel comfortable leaving the house with however many children you have with your partner, if you are expecting me to stay home with 4 kids
all the time,
because if you as the man are not capable of staying home with your 4 children, we have a problem.
A big problem.
We have a problem. If you need another person to come in, if I'm doing it, you need to be capable of it. I understand. You know what? Bring in a grandparent if you can. That's great. Let's tag team it. Mom's going to go out for the full day, 6 at 10 out, whatever. Mom's going away for the weekend. I am going to come in. I am going to call in some reserves because that is a lot for a whole weekend to be by yourself with all the kids. But if you're in a situation where you're like, I couldn't leave my kids alone with my husband, he won't be able to take care of them. We have a problem. This is a problem.
I don't understand how you even get to that point.
But this is what I'm saying. Like, there's so much in life like this. Okay. Off topic, related. There's this guy on TikTok who does incredible haircuts down in like Virginia. Incredible transformational haircuts. He gets these like really rough looking guys that come in. They're teenage kids who like let their hair grow so long and it's like here and their moms are like, you look terrible. Go get a haircut. Whatever. Yeah. So this guy, he does great transformation videos. It's like insane. The last 4 that have come up on my feed have been guys with like extremely overgrown, unkempt beards and hair. They come in. My girlfriend, my wife, my fiance found you. She's been looking for appointments for me. Here is a list of what she said I need. She's sitting in the back. Come over. She has the inspiration photos. She talks to the stylist
like they're a child.
She comes over.
What?
Oh, my girlfriend said my hair's grown too long. I haven't had a haircut in 2 years. She said it's time. I'm sorry.
You know,
I have such a problem with that and the mothering that needs to come from your partner.
Exactly.
That physically makes me ill. I'm like,
not cute.
You know why she's doing this? Is because she's looking at you and she's becoming physically repulsed.
Unattracted.
Literally unattracted to you.
Right.
Like I'm looking at these guys and I'm like, they clearly like either took care of themselves at one point and let it go.
Yeah.
Or always let themselves go. And this woman is now finally in a position in his life where he just defaults to her and is like, okay, cool. You want me to get my hair cut? Great. I'll go.
What do you want? Where do you want me to go?
Literally, she made the appointment.
It's not attractive that she had to do all of this anyway. If I have to tell you to get a haircut. And then she's like,
wow, he looks so great. And I'm just like, oh my God.
He still looks crazy because none of this was his idea.
No.
I had to.
No.
What? Nah. No.
Nuts.
Listen.
Nuts.
Here's one
I was physically ill and repulsed by what I'm seeing.
This is what we're saying. What you start out with.
Imagine having kids with that guy.
What you start out with is what you get. So if you find yourself having to encourage your partner to get a haircut or go to the hairdresser or whatever, and then you decide, later on to have kids or whatever with this person, like, just understand what you're getting yourself into. That's all. You just have to consider all the angles. All we're saying is consider all the outcomes as much as possible. And especially when you find out you're about to have a child. You have 9 months. 6, I don't know. When do people find out? Like 8 months before? Like, you have time.
Some know super early. Yeah. I'm like, how the hell did you know?
They're one day pregnant. Like, whatever. They got apps
literally,
for that.
I'd be like, I don't know. I thought I had a 2-month-long stomach ache. I don't know what's happening.
You have time. God made it so that you have almost a full year to plan, God willing, Get all the things in order. That's all it is. Have the conversations now. It's the same thing with getting married. You have to have the conversations before to know, like, do you even want to get married to this person? Like, it's not cool. And I don't know. I'm sure people have different experiences with this, but you start dating somebody in 2 weeks and they ask you to marry you. It's like, you didn't even ask me if I wanted, like, I don't even know if I like you like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This isn't Love is Blind, right. Okay? They get 2 weeks. Everybody else should have a little more time.
Some more time, and we should have a discussion about if I want to spend the rest of my life with you. That's only fair, So it's.
I mean, truly, it's getting to the point now. Like, if I'm on a date, like, it's just getting so crystal clear to me that I'm like, yes, we need to have rapport, but I have such specific questions and scenarios that I want to know. Like, when I was interviewing roommates, like, to get basically I ended up with Catherine. Yeah. I had like a really robust, specific list of questions.
I would love to hear one of these questions.
Oh my God, I can absolutely.
Please share.
I have it saved in my Google Drive. And you know what's so funny is that when she was looking for roommates, she called me and she said, "What's the list of roommate questions that you asked me?"
Oh.
I want to use that.
As she goes through her process.
Yeah. Is it this one?
Oh, gosh.
So robust. Oh, my God. I'm like, oh, my God. 21 questions.
21 questions, 50 Cent. Okay, here we go.
We're going to put, 21 questions.
And it's all about us. Hey.
I love it. But all this to say, and I'll get to the questions, but all this to say is, like, if you can get to the root of it, if you can get to the heart of it pretty quickly, then we can decide if there's a rapport. But I don't honestly want a rapport with someone who doesn't measure up to the questions.
Right. Absolutely.
Because if I have a rapport with someone and then they don't measure up to the questions,
it's not going to work out.
Makes me ignore the red flags.
Exactly.
That's why I'm very much like,
so good.
Keep me away. Like, I keep myself away.
Yeah.
Don't text me too much before we go on a date. I don't know you like that, and you don't know me like that. And I don't want to become your friend before I meet you because I have questions, and I don't want myself to feel like I'm making excuses for your answers based on, we have a meeting rapport.
Exactly. And I like the way he laughs or makes me laugh.
Question number one, what's your birthday?
That. You get lost in the sauce that way.
Yeah. Yeah. You can. And I mean, that goes with like a lot more with intimacy, with everything, like anything that could potentially cloud your judgment when it comes to some pretty hard and fast. Do you want this? Do you want that? Do you like this? Do you like that?
Yeah.
Like, those are the foundations, the values, the core tenets of who they are as a person.
Right.
Everything else, it becomes gravy.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like, I'm watching Love is Blind right now, and they're just like, I just don't know if there's any sexual tension. I go, that type of stuff grows.
Yeah.
If you have a partner who respects you, if you have a partner who is emotionally there for you, if you have a partner if all the things are aligned, like, like, I just feel like sometimes in culture, there's just like such pressure on like sexuality and sexual tension in a relationship that it's like the romance of the relationship is just like, okay, well, people are only virile for so long. So, and if that's all you're basing your relationship on, you might
That's
not even
already
make
a
it.
problem.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
It can't be the only
Okay.
thing.
So, so what are your cleaning habits?
Okay. Good.
What do you like to do on the weekends?
Mm-hmm.
And I have her answers listed. It's so funny. And a lot of them are just like, I would put like, I like the answer, like good.
Okay.
Like if I like the answer, I would just write good or I would write some details.
Okay.
What are your cleaning habits? What do you like to do on the weekends? Do you smoke? Are you still friends with your old roommates?
Good question.
Do you have any references?
Yeah.
What's your usual bedtime?
Okay.
Like how do you function in the day and the night?
Right. We're sharing space. This is important.
Yeah. How often do you have friends over?
Mm-hmm.
Do you expect a lot of out of town visitors?
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you going to become the hub for everyone that visits New York?
Exactly.
Do you have any pets? How will you pay for rent?
Mm-hmm.
Like check? Are you going to exchange cash?
Yeah.
Do you have a job?
Mm-hmm.
Can you put down a deposit? What is your workday routine?
Okay.
Do you work from home? Are you in a romantic relationship? How often? Because it's then, okay, because if you are,
then
now I
he's
have two
gonna
roommates.
come over. Exactly. He's spending the night.
Now I have two roommates.
Uh-huh.
Is he showering here?
Right.
Okay, water
and
bill.
I don't know him.
Does he think he's going to work from here? Light bill, Wi-Fi.
Does he think
like,
he's going to live from here? Right. Because no.
Exactly. How often do you cook?
Uh-huh.
Or do you like to cook? I mean, like, what's your cooking situation?
Yeah.
How often do you drink at home?
Okay.
I'm not trying to live with a lush.
Yeah.
Sorry. If you come home and it's a bottle a night, that's not how I operate.
Yeah.
If you're having like a bottle of wine a night or a couple bottles, that's just, I just don't want, that's not my, I'm not comfortable.
Right. For me.
What do you want in a roommate? What are you looking for? Like, what would you want me to bring to the table?
Yeah.
And like, and based on that response, it's like, okay, then who am I? Mm-hmm. I need to understand if this is what they're looking for. If I can't give that, or if I don't like that, then that also doesn't align.
Exactly.
How long do you plan to stay?
Okay.
Because it's like, 6 months. It's like, okay,
all right, no.
What are some challenges you faced in past living situations?
Mm-hmm.
What are your pet peeves?
Okay.
And anything else I should know?
Okay. That's great.
And the thing we bonded over was, she's like, hair. She's like,
what about hair? Place, that was a pet peeve?
A lot of hair on the ground.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, I really relate, and I lose a lot of hair. So I'm very conscious of, like, when I'm at home, I try to just keep my hair up.
Yeah. Because
when you wear your hair down, your hair, it's just falling out all the time.
Yeah.
And I was very conscious of, like, always Swiffering, because I just don't like seeing hair on the ground. And it's just not, I really like it's just, I don't like it. So I'm very conscious of, like, hair.
Yeah.
So when she was like, I'm very conscious of hair, I was like, high five, girl, same to me too.
Yeah. I clean up a lot and I wear my hair up to prevent.
Yeah. And it was like when we first started living together, there was like maybe once or twice things that happened that I was just like, hey, like, if you're going to cook like that, like, do you mind just like putting on the fan or like opening the window or something? Cause like, whatever.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, for sure. And it was just like a nice conversation.
Right.
And we had such a lovely time living together because we were very like upfront about
the important things that affect the living situation. Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And it's like, that's how I'm coming to dating now. I'm going to be like, if you need a haircut,
what steps are you going to take? Right.
Yeah. If you think your hair needs a haircut, first of all, how often do you get your hair cut?
No, seriously. Do you only do it to make haircut major events? Somebody's getting married.
That's my thing. Also, just like, oh, okay, so you're just gonna let it go until it's like not cute and then cut it. Like, I don't like that.
Please maintain, right?
Because this is the thing. When you have short hair, you do have to maintain it.
Yeah.
If I have long hair, you can't tell if I've had it cut in 4 months or 6 months because the difference is like, it's not that significant.
Exactly.
But if you have a short haircut, like a man's haircut, if like a cropped haircut, a month and we have an issue sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like it depends on who we're dealing with.
Absolutely.
So it's just like I just feel like, I'm thinking of a specific story and I don't want to tell the story, but essentially it's like if the partner has the problem, they can go find the solution.
Yeah.
It is not on me to make their appointments, make sure they see a doctor, make sure it's the right kind of bed that they can sleep on, make sure that we're eating the foods that they like or that they're not allergic to or allergic to. Or this is a partnership.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
If you need to figure out that you're gluten-free, we're going to walk that together, but you need to be the lead. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to be the one that's like, oh, here, let's go. Like
you have
the driver's seat,
not me.
Yeah, like the driver's seat needs to be the person who it's affecting
directly.
You know what I mean?
Of course.
Yeah. Like I'm like, oh, you have a stomach
ache
and you've had it for a month.
Is
go to the doctor.
Babying. That's just what that is. If we're two adults in a situation, then we should both approach the situation as adults. So,
well, this is the thing. It's people are infantilizing often. Men are infantilized. They have been coddled and taken care of by their mommies, and then they know nothing else. And often their mommies are very dissatisfied with their own husbands. And so they look at their sons as this perfect man specimen that's going to be a good person who treats them and loves them and takes care of them because emotionally they're not supported and taken care of by their own husbands.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's a person we're not marrying. And
no, seriously, because
do you know what I'm saying?
There's a lot behind that. Yeah.
If you want to leave your mom's house and come to me and you think I'm going to be doing the things
Mom
that your mommy did, no.
I'm not.
No, I'm not. And then there's something that I talk to with, I talk about this a lot with my dad, which is weaponized incompetence.
Okay, what does this
There's
mean?
a lot of, yes. There's a new concept for him. And I was like, you do partake in it a little bit.
Wow, okay. Leave my guy alone.
Well, no, but it's like you don't even know what it is until you see it. And they're just like, oh, hold on a second.
Okay.
Let's unpack the dishwasher. Oh, but I don't know where anything goes. You're better at doing it faster.
Oh, well, let's learn. What?
Weaponized incompetence.
I see. Wow.
Oh, but you cook so much better. You cook much better than I cook.
That's a tactic that a lot of people use.
But this is the thing. If you don't know what you're doing is a thing, and then you're told it's a thing, it can feel very much like an attack.
Yeah. Right, of course.
So then it becomes very difficult for the person who's doing that behavior to receive the feedback. But if I can come to you in a way that says, it makes me feel burdened. It makes me feel like it's not an option for you to take on more responsibility.
Right.
So I have to take on the responsibility because you're saying I'm better at this thing because it's an unwillingness to learn. The thing.
Exactly. Absolutely.
And it's one thing to say, oh, we're having a birthday cake. You make the best cakes.
Yeah. That's different.
Yeah, I do make the best cakes.
Yeah.
It's another thing to do that on a consistent basis with a lot of different specific types of responsibilities.
Yeah.
And then be like, yeah, but you're so much better at that. Or I don't know how to do that thing. Or I can't, I get nervous on the phone with the doctor. Can you call the doc? Like this, you are now like weaponizing your incompetence. Right. And I think maybe weaponizing can also be like an off-putting word.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it feels intense. Right. Again, words have more meaning than their actual definition. I was just having a conversation with someone I'm helping with their branding. And like, I was just having that conversation with them because weaponized feels intense.
Yeah, it feels
I think that's also why a lot of people struggle with the idea of like privilege, especially white people and white privilege. They really struggle with it because they're like, I grew up in a trailer park and I was a single mother and what privilege? And it's like, it's hard for them to receive and understand what that lesson is. So because words have more meaning than their definition. But so it's like when you say weaponized incompetence, it really is, you are using your inability or lack of desire to do something or inability to do something and putting that pressure and that responsibility on me unnecessarily.
Right.
when you're an able-bodied human that can do this thing.
And you don't lack understanding. You can learn.
Yeah.
And what is putting dishes, just for the sake of that example, most of these
that's
things,
an innocuous example.
Right, but a lot of time when it comes to stuff like that, if you're probably, as we're like looking into some of these situations with moms and dads or husbands and wives.
Yeah.
Something like putting the dishes away or cleaning the kitchen. It doesn't require much skill. Like you just put the dishes in the dishwasher, or you sweep up the dirt and you put the dishes away. Like there's nothing to it. It doesn't have to be finessed. Sure, people have, like, if they're a master cleaner or whatever, sure, they make things spick and span, whatever. But I just need you to do the basics, you know? Taking the trash out is this, or making sure the kids get ready for school is simple. Make sure they have their lunch.
And I also understand that there's like a division of labor, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, you do this thing, I do this thing, you do this thing.
Because that helps for functioning if that's what works for your household.
But it can't be,
I don't do this.
I don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. And you, or I will never do it. And I'm not going to. Exactly.
Yeah.
You typically do it, but you're busy doing X, Y, and Z right now. You're so good at making the cake. You're making the cake right now, and you need help to keep everything going. I'm going to unpack the dishwasher for you. Right. I'm not going to be like, yeah, but you're so much better at it.
So just when you finish doing that, just do
I don't know where things go. That's my favorite. I don't know where everything goes. Open all the cabinets
and find out. F around and
Our
find
house isn't
out.
that big. Yeah, the house isn't that big. If you're rich enough to have a house where everything is so spread out, you can't figure it out. There's a second kitchen.
Why don't you have a
Why are you unpacking the dishwasher?
Exactly.
Yeah. Why are you?
That's a good question.
Hire somebody. Throw some money at it. You know what I'm saying?
Just hire somebody. Have her come once a week.
Yeah. We're talking about strictly middle class issues here. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Because once there's like a lot of money involved, it's like, no,
once
I'm not going to make my own doctor's appointments either.
Square footage, we're having a maid. We're having a chef. We're having a family assistant.
Like, I'm not going to book doctors. I'm not going to call the insurance company. You're kidding me?
Call the virtual assistant for. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
She makes all of our appointments.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it gets to a point where it's like, oh no, I don't make appointments either. Call the assistant. But you need to call the assistant. I'm not going to text the assistant for your dentist appointment.
You know that it's time for your cleaning.
And then she'll tell you that it's time for the cleaning.
These are
tell the chef that you're celiac.
One world problems. Okay, we're talking about.
This is the first world order. This is like.
Did you just say tell the chef that you're a celiac? Oh my gosh, that's so good. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Like, or like even like, you know, even like that next level of like, you get like Instacart. You don't even go to the supermarket. Some people, they do Instacart, right?
They don't even know what this
Add your own celiac food to the cart.
That's right. You can probably filter and sort only gluten-free items.
Please. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, that's why I say, like, I understand the division of labor and relationships and like you do this and I do this and we cover the things that we need to cover.
Yeah.
But I think that when it's time to like, that's why I say, like, when I look at Sarah and Wayne, I really appreciate they're not 50-50. They're 100-100.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Where it's like, I'm not the only, like, if you do this thing typically, it doesn't mean that that's your responsibility.
Yeah.
It's our responsibility. You typically do this thing, but if you're over here doing this thing and the thing this one needs to still get done, I'm going to do that.
Yeah. Right.
Because we are responsible to each other.
Yes, exactly. We're a team, you know? And we live here together. We live this life together.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm clearly going to be a perfect partner and parent if and when these things happen.
Absolutely. And I'm already a perfect partner.
Yeah, you're like, look at me. I'm a model example. Right?
Just ask around about me. There's one guy.
You're like, Brandon. Brandon's right behind.
Get on the.
He's like behind. He's just like, yeah. She's great. She's great.
I echo all the things she's saying.
I don't know. And I think part of it is that Yeah, but I think part of it is we're a different generation. I think we see things differently than perhaps like the one above us.
Sure. I
think also it's not later in life. We're in our 30s, but I think that like you become a more formed person.
Absolutely.
With what you witness in life. right?
Yeah.
The learned experiences, the data that we've collected, the things that we've seen helps you make informed
decisions. Exactly.
And that's where it's like, yeah, no, I'm not married and I don't have kids, but I can speak to what I've observed and
what I
would
know
make
I
sense for
want.
me.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And that's,
So it's like,
that's also, I found it so intriguing, and I still find it intriguing that like before Brandon and I got married, people were so vocal about when we were going to get married. And I'm like, first of all, it's nobody else's business except for mine's and Brandon's. And so
yeah,
I love that about us. We have always moved on our own timeline. There was no there was pressure in that people were asking and all this other type of stuff.
yeah,
And I never I got annoyed, but I never felt
yeah.
pressure because it was just like, I don't move on anybody else's timeline because you know what? They're not going to be in my relationship. And the same thing when
Nope.
it comes, I don't understand what the infatuation is that people have with like married couples. Like, oh, when are you going to have kids? Like, that is none of your business. It is not
You know what?
one of yours.
You know what? People asking and commenting about people like, what are you doing with your relationship? When are you going to get married? When are you going to have kids? For me personally, there's two things I think about that. One, you need to focus on you.
Yeah.
If you're so focused on what other people are doing or telling other people what they need to be doing, what's not happening
Right.
here?
What are you avoiding
What's
within?
not happening in the home, in
Yeah.
your emotions, in your health, in your house, in your head? What's something is you need to be on you.
Yeah.
Don't focus on other people
Right.
and don't tell other people what they need to do.
Right. Exactly.
Because you don't know what's
You
happening in their
don't.
relationships.
You sure
You don't know
don't.
what's happening in their fertility journey. I mean, my
Right.
sister was really vocal about that early on because she got married at 27 and people were like, when are you going to have kids?
Yeah.
The second after they got married, when are you going to have
Same.
kids? And my sister was very vocal about that. Same. Like, you don't know what a woman's fertility journey is. And you don't know what you could be stepping into a hornet's nest of emotions.
Yeah.
And you don't have the right to ask.
Exactly.
And then the second thing is something I've kind of come to is, are you concerned? Do you care? Or are you just curious?
Yeah.
Because the people who know me that care and are concerned know what's happening in my life, know what's going on.
Right.
If you're coming around, you're asking me questions and you're curious, like where's the motivation for these questions coming from?
Exactly.
Are you just curious? Are you nosy?
You
Nelly?
nosy?
Are you just looking for gossip? You just want to talk about people?
Right.
Because you're just curious.
Yeah.
But if you care, if you're a friend, if you're a family member, and you come to me and you ask me a question, hey, how's it going? Like, what's the latest? Like, maybe we don't talk all the time, but you're somebody I'm close to. We can have conversations.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a thing I've come to also, is like, not everybody has the privilege of the information.
Oh, absolutely.
And where is the motivation for those questions?
Right.
A lot of times also there's just like such a laziness in relationship maintenance of like, oh, I haven't seen this person. No, truly, I never see this person except for family functions.
Yeah.
So the thing I'm going to ask them is the most surface level. How's work? Are you getting married? Are you having a baby?
Yeah.
And it's like, when I would go home in my early 20s, people early on were like, are you dating anybody? And it was people I wasn't very close with, but were in my familial world.
Yeah.
And I'm like, one,
why?
Yes or no, doesn't matter to you.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Really
I'm not going to tell you about my life.
Yeah.
What do you want me to do? You want me to tell you about every guy I've dated in the last year? Because then you're going to go from being like, oh, she's dating a lot of guys. It seems like it's a lot of people to date. It's like it's constant.
Yeah.
So it's like, why am I going to give you any information?
Yeah, no ammo.
And two, I am a fully formed person, whether or not I am dating or have a partner. So if you don't have anything else to ask me about, have a nice day.
Yeah. Have a nice day.
I am more than if I am dating someone.
Yeah.
I am more than if I am marrying my partner.
Yeah.
And I am more than whether or not I have a child.
Yes, exactly.
And if that's the only things you can think of to ask me,
dig deeper.
Dig deeper or don't dig at all.
Yeah, right.
I don't want to share with you.
Yeah,
it's just so interesting.
It's so interesting because I've dealt with that for the longest, like people just asking questions, and I'm just like, I don't do that. So I really want to know, where does that come from? I don't understand it, because like anyone who, if I'm best friends with someone and they're in a relationship, I'm not asking, do you think you guys are going to get married? Like, I just don't.
So how's
But
it going?
I don't do that.
How's it
Like,
going?
that is so, it's so personal. Like, I'm not a part of your relationship. If you want to share something, that's on your own accord. I'm never out here like trying to solicit information from you. It's not my business. And so that's where I come from, where I'm just like, I don't understand. Like, why are you, and as to your point, there might be something with that person who's asking these questions, these very prying questions. Maybe there's something missing or lacking, or you're so excited about my relationship that you want to know, like, and maybe it comes from a good place. I'm not saying that every question is from like this place of malice, or I want to gossip about you or whatever, but it's also just very personal, especially for someone who's not like myself. I'm not forthgiving. I don't share information about my relationship or anything like that. It's just me, Brandon, and God. That's it. So I'm not sharing with you our intimate conversations about when we're going to have children and all those types. Like, that's just not anybody else's business. And I don't need outside input on it. If I ask for it, that's something different. But I'm not out here like, and I think it's the same thing, with dating.
100%.
When people are having a relationship, and I think it's so funny that some people like try to ask questions about when they're getting married. And it's like, you're not, or they push people to like get married. And it's like, well, you're not married. Why would you push anybody? Maybe you're looking at it from this idyllic thing, but you also don't know from experience, because maybe you're not in a successful relationship or whatever. So what are you pushing for? Why? What's missing that you want this person to get married or whatever? It's just,
I mean, that comes back around to like the PR of like marriage and the PR of having
parenting.
babies. It's like, are you just trying to get me to be on the same boat as you and be as miserable as you are?
Yeah.
Or are you like genuinely, oh, I'm so happy in my love and in my marriage, and I'm so happy with my children. Like, I want people to be happy.
Yes.
In my mind, this is happiness.
This is happy.
So
right.
I'm asking out of, I have extreme happiness from this thing.
Yeah.
Like, it can be any multitude of reasons, truly, to your point. Like, it doesn't have to be out of malice.
Yeah.
But I also think that there's just like, there's a lot of people who just don't do any introspection, or who don't take in any information that's different than what they know. And they're not learning that like, it's inappropriate to touch a woman's stomach when she's pregnant.
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't ask about if they're having kids. You shouldn't push people on when they're getting married. Like, it's just, I mean, it's the same thing like with money even. It's just like, oh, do you guys have a joint bank account? Like, are you doing that? It's like, oh my God.
Listen,
like,
people,
are you my accountant? Because other than that, like
or people asking certain questions about like what you make or how much you pay for this. It's like, why
and that's
are
the
you
thing.
all up in my...
If you have a relationship, if you have a close friendship with somebody and you want to talk through stuff, and you want to be like, is it crazy that I think that the neighbor's crazy for letting her child squeal and squat? Like, it's one thing to talk through things with your friends, with your inner circle, with the people you're closest to. But it's like, if you came on, if we hung out, and every time we hung out, you were complaining about Brandon, what does that do to your relationship with him? But what does that also do to when I'm with you as a group?
Exactly.
And my perception of him. So you have a bad day, you complain. Now I'm thinking negative thoughts, and I'm like, oh,
I don't like him.
He's this type of person.
Exactly.
Exactly. But that's what I'm saying. Like,
Seriously.
I just don't think people understand.
They don't
like,
think about it.
If I'm dating someone and I complain about them to my parents, oh, he did this, he said this, he did it. You think they're not going to
like
inviting?
Him. Exactly. They don't want this.
And then it's like, why don't you like my boyfriend?
Because then when you decide to get over and forgive him, now you want everybody else to forgive him also. It's like, girl, you painted this negative picture of this guy. We don't think he's worth your time. So
that part.
It's crazy.
So it's okay for you to complain about all the things he does.
Right. And then you get me upset.
Basically, when we hold a mirror up to you and say, these are all the reasons that you shouldn't be with him.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to continue to support like helping you get through this.
Right.
No.
Don't keep coming to me.
But I have to say, like, I don't really have much experience with that, because I feel like I just don't have people like that around me.
Yeah.
Where it's like, they're complaining about, oh, he said this or he did this or I don't know. It's like, you know.
Stop playing.
You know. Yeah. You know. I know when we all know
Everyone
when we're
knows.
making decisions that aren't good for us.
And when you're missing or choosing to ignore red flags.
It's just whether or not you're willing to identify, I'm doing this regardless.
Yeah. And I'll just deal with the repercussions later.
Yeah. I know. I struggle with the like, sometimes people are just like, they make bad choices for themselves. And then it's like, oh, they didn't know better. And it's like, there's some degree of, you don't know better of like, maybe you weren't parented, right? And then you don't really know how to parent, right? That's an example of like, you're not making good choices. But
in your heart of hearts,
I think, and that's my thing. I think in your heart of hearts, I think deep down, if you were screamed at and yelled at as a child and it didn't feel good, and you were then a parent and you're screaming and yelling, and you're not choosing to break the cycle.
Right. Exactly. You're going through the motions.
That's a choice. You're choosing to not do the work on yourself to stop things getting to screaming, yelling at a 4-year-old.
Right.
Because you knew what that felt like as a kid. So,
and you hate your parent or whomever to this day because of it.
Exactly.
So why perpetuate?
And that's my thing is like, I look at people and it's just like, wow, like they had this happen to them. And so they decided to do better.
Yeah.
They decided to be different. And then you have other people who are
it's
like,
it's the most powerful thing because you're doing something out of experience.
You have a choice.
Exactly. Yeah. You're just like, no, I'm actively, and you're always aware.
I'm going to be different. I'm going to do things different. Yeah.
Or I made a mistake.
It's true. And I mean, I think it has to do with the type of like, that's where I think it has to do with like the
human
just
being.
Like who that person is, right? It's like, okay, you've both now experienced this terrible, horrific thing. And it's whether you have the inner fortitude and strength to be like, I'm going to choose differently for myself. Or in your heart of hearts, you're not doing the right thing by making a change. You're going to just stay stuck and stay in the behavior and continue a cycle. But in your heart of hearts,
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
So all that to say, wow, that's a totally like random topic for us to go down.
Listen,
but
we had
the baby's fault.
Zero plans to talk about any of this.
Oh my God. I was talking about Pilates when we started this conversation.
We had updates to share with you and you won't get them until next time. But
next time.
But, sometimes it's like that. And, this does boil down to...
That's how conversation goes.
That's how conversation goes. And really what this all boils down to is relationships. And they're so important. So relationships, spirituality, finances, like those are the like most important things in a person's life and how they interact with others and all that type of stuff and with themselves and are self-aware or not. So, this was an important conversation to have, I suppose.
Yeah. No, honestly. And maybe we're the only non-parents to be having this conversation because we're finally identifying that it's like,
it's okay for us to have an opinion. How about that?
It's okay for us to have
because listen, we're not the only ones. That's the whole part.
No.
We've just been shamed into saying like, oh, you can't speak because you don't have kids. But there is a whole population of us who don't have children, and we see and we think about the things like if we're considering having children or whatever, it's literally we have time to think about it and we witness your experiences and we pull from that. So sell it to us. I
literally have had moms that I know DM me on Instagram when I post a crying baby and be like, think about the parents like that. Or like, oh, if you're frustrated, imagine what the mom's experiencing. And I'm like, I'm not.
Right.
Like by me existing and having a thought and opinion is not negating her experience that the mom is going. Not at all. I'm not taking away from it either. Right. And I'm not saying my plight is worse than hers. She lives there. Like
it's her child.
That's her child. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's my experience of the situation. But it's so interesting. Like we are so conditioned that like I'm not allowed.
You can't feel bad because think about what she's going through.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't feel
like, but she's infringing upon my decision to not have kids. Whatever it is.
I'm just as valid in the experience. Like it is it is a very interesting thing to look at because at the same time, like I also don't want people to like comment on things that are not theirs to comment on, right? It's like, you should lose weight.
Yeah.
You should be this, you should be that. Like, I'm very much like, as long as what you're doing, there's a podcast I listen to and they constantly like come back to, it's like a joke. They're like, as long as it's not hurting anybody, like, as long as what you're doing isn't hurting anybody, like, far be it for me to comment.
Yeah.
But it is hurting
It's hurting me. Right.
This is what I'm saying. Like, it is
life.
impacting my life. So that's where it's like, I do have a right to comment on a situation of which I am an active participant.
Yeah.
Unwilling.
Absolutely.
Unwilling participant.
She is a total stranger in this whole.
And here's the thing also, is that this is a tremendously nuanced conversation that we're having, right? Every element of this conversation is extremely nuanced, has a lot to do with socialization, has a lot to do with how we're raised, all this stuff. And I think that a lot of people who maybe struggle with nuance and struggle with having these more complex, introspective conversations see this kind of a conversation and they're just like, they like wipe their hands of it. They don't want to be a part of it, or they think that you can't comment, or, oh, you think too much, or you think too deep about this. It's not that serious. And it's like, if someone's taking the time to think and consider and care about all the different elements, it's like, then who are you to tell me that this doesn't matter?
Yeah, it obviously matters because it matters to them.
It's just like, exactly. That's my thing. It's like a lot of people, I think, lack the understanding of nuance.
Yeah, that. And especially in today's world, where there's so much in America on division and, you're either this or you're that, and there is no in between. It's important for people to realize that life is not black or white. It is gray. There are certain things like, okay, yes, it is wrong to kill. It is wrong to do like we got it.
It's wrong to kill.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
But on those other situations, just like you just mentioned with the mother, you and the mother, both of your experiences. Sometimes I hate using the word valid because I feel like it's just so overused and such like a cliche. But for lack of a better word, both of your experiences are valid. So she's definitely in her own right to have her experience as a mother and to find an outlet for her child or whatever.
Yeah.
But you too have your own right to not be infringed upon by a screaming child 24 hours of the day. I have to work and I work from home and I can't even have my door open because your child is screaming at the top of their lungs. So there has to be some type of like pull and some give and consideration given. It's the same thing with the restaurant example. It's all about consideration. Think about, and the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them to do unto you. Because would you want to be subject to a screaming child if you didn't have children? No, you wouldn't. And even if you did have kids, would you want an extra screaming child? No, you don't.
And that's the golden rule. And I'm like, if that's not something that you're like learning from a young age, like
a problem,
it's not something you're going to pick up down the line.
You're going to have to actively work on that. Because
even like me picking up the dog poop, like that's a huge issue in this area for some reason, people not picking up after their dogs. And I'm just like, but are we animals? Are we heathens? Or are we human do we beings? Live in a civil society? Right. Or are we just like running wild and running amok?
We're running wild, Ellen, duh.
But that's the thing is like, it becomes difficult for someone who is like picking up the poop.
Yeah.
To be able to comprehend how someone is not picking up the poop.
Yeah. Right.
Because it's one thing to run out of a bag. I have a grace for you've run out of bags, right? Like it's, what am I to do? Another yeah. But there's always somebody with a bag.
Yeah. Or come back.
Nearby. Or come back. Or carry extra bags.
People don't care.
I tie an extra bag to my thing so that when I run out of bags from the roll, because you never know when the roll is really going to end. You really don't. Like, it's like, is it 2 left? Is it 1 left? Who knows?
Yeah.
I always keep an extra bag tied to the thing because when the roll runs out,
at least I have one.
If she poops a second time on the walk, what do? That's being considerate.
Right. That's thinking ahead.
About others.
But and the little thing, it's the little things like that. You picking up your dog's poop. if everyone did that, how much better would the world be? Like if everyone was just a little bit more considerate of others, and there is such a thing as being like too concerned about others and stuff like that and not, taking up your own space. But if we were more considerate, oh my gosh, if people would just take 1% extra, out of their day to consider others, it would just be a totally different experience.
I'm so with you on that.
Yeah.
So pick up the poop, people.
Pick up your dog's
poop. All of that.
And go outside when your kid is screaming at the Italian restaurant.
Literally, like take them for a walk.
That's all. And don't bring them to the wedding if children aren't allowed at the wedding.
Oh, please.
Don't you get me started.
Well, on that note, thanks everybody for listening. Thanks for going on this journey, and we appreciate you listening and or watching, depending on where you consume this content. Mm-hmm. Please thumbs up, like it, comment the video, like and comment on the podcast on Spotify, subscribe on YouTube. How about sharing the podcast? Yeah. How about we start doing some of that?
Share your favorite
clips. If you enjoyed this episode, send this episode to somebody that doesn't know us.
There we go.
I challenge you.
You are challenged. And let us know.
If you enjoyed this episode, send the link to somebody who that doesn't know us, or they know us, but they don't know about the podcast.
Either or is fine.
I have now been watching these podcasts back editing. Aja has been watching these podcasts back editing. And I know we have something special here.
Yeah, we do.
And we just need more ears and we just need more eyeballs. Yeah. We don't need it. To be honest, we're going to keep doing it regardless.
With or without you. But
Yeah. With or without you. We don't need you.
We don't need you. We don't need all of you.
Don't bother. Don't even listen.
No. That's
No, I understand what you're saying is that we're not doing this for validation. Yes, exactly. We're not doing this for the external of views and likes and comments. It's that we're enjoying ourselves doing this. And I think what we're talking about is something that can benefit more people. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I'm saying that share it with people. Yeah. I think I often think about that. If I enjoyed something, if I think something's funny, if I like watching this video, I share it with people because I'm like, I liked this. I want to share it with you,
Right.
I just think it's especially when it's information too, or I'm just we should share this with more people.
Yeah, absolutely. Spread
all
the
that
word.
To say, spread the word,
spread
the love. Thank you all so much. Okay, Aja, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on IG, TikTok, Facebook at Aja Moye Music. That's spelled AjaMoyeMusik. Oh, wow. C MUSIC. And on my website at ajamoye.com.
Yay!
Where can they find you, Ellyn?
You can find me on Instagram and on TikTok at Ellyn with WITHAY, all the letters, and on my website, www.ellynwithay.com.
There we go. And you can obviously find us where you found us to listen at the Regents podcast.
And if you don't know us at all and you've gotten to this point, comment.
Yeah.
Because I see the analytics. I know who's watching. We can tell. I can see there's more eyeballs.
Exactly. It's not a secret.
If you don't know us and you just found us, comment, DM us, tell us something. Right. We want to know.
We do want to know because along with, us doing this for ourselves and it starting out being something that we needed as new entrepreneurs, we are really excited about building a community of people who we're helping, or people who are just on this journey with us and they're here for the, what do you call it? The coffee clutch or the kiki as I know it.
The coffee clutch, the kiki, the water cooler.
The water cooler talk, all those things. We really do want to hear from you. This is not to be a one-sided conversation. So feel free to chime in, ask us questions. If there's anything you want us to talk about, or you would love to hear our opinion or take, or what we're going through on any specific thing.
Yeah, exactly. how we handle stuff.
for sure. Ask us.
Yeah. She knew this was the end of the podcast. She's
Oh,
become
hey,
familiar.
girl.
Hi, my bubby.
Look at that
Oh, no, I
beautiful
don't want that.
doggy. Love
You're my
dogs.
baby. You're my baby.
Oh, she says
Yeah.
bye. Okay, bye.
She wants to go outside.
Right.
All right. Thanks, everybody, so much. We appreciate you. The Regents Podcast. The Regents Podcast.